really being able to tease out those transferable skills and know what value they're bringing. If you understand the core skill set of the job you're going after, you can find where there's overlap with what you've already done. And it's just a matter of understanding the value transition there.
This is definitely an overkill for compared to the setting I used to have before. It was usually the Zoom meetings I used to have with people. So, but first of all, thank you so much, Jessica, for your time, and also for letting me use your awesome studio here. Really appreciate it. So before going in, I just want to kind of get to learn a little bit about you. So would you please tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been out in Seattle for almost 15 years, originally from the Midwest, Wisconsin, but we moved out here just because we wanted a change of scenery, and we both love the Pacific Northwest. I did my undergrad at the University of Washington Foster School of Business. I focused on marketing and entrepreneurship, and then I did my MBA at Seattle University, which that's kind of a fun story because I was doing that at the same time I started at Amazon. But then after graduating college, the majority of my background was in startups and arts organizations. So I did that for a few years and then started working at a family law firm in a marketing capacity. I grew into that role, was eventually the director of marketing there, learned a ton. It was a great experience. But then wanted to just flex into something a little bit bigger. So that's how I found myself up at Amazon. And then Amazon, I started out actually in an operations role and then came back to marketing recently.
So I'm really curious about your journey within Amazon, starting from operations to now marketing. But before going in there, I want to really learn about your process of getting into Amazon. So would you be able to share that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting story when I reflect back on it, because I was very happy in my role at the law firm. I was able to do a lot of creative projects, so I wasn't really looking. But I had a friend who was at Amazon, and she's like, there's this role, I think you'd be really great for it. You should apply. And I was like, okay, I don't have anything to lose. I think it's always a great exercise to keep yourself sharp in interview and just keep your eye open for new opportunities. So I submitted my resume, ended up getting a phone screen, I think it was like 2 days later. And then I was scheduled for an in-person loop like 3 days after that. So it was like this whirlwind.
Oh, yeah.
But I looked at it as just an exercise in sharpening my interview skills as well as learning more about Amazon. So it felt very low stakes for me, even though Amazon interviews don't feel low stakes at all.
No, they're not.
No. So I did the loop, and then I ended up getting hired into Prime Video. It is more of an account manager role, and then that evolved into more of an operations role.
Gotcha. So what was your motivation in coming back to marketing?
Yeah, I love marketing because it's so customer focused. Because I think when marketing's done really well, it's helping customers solve problems in the moment that they are having the problem. So you can think about display advertising.
Sure.
You're searching the web, you're like, I've got this problem, I know that I can solve it, but I don't know how, and then all of a sudden you do some research on a blog, and you're like, okay, I think I know what I need, and then all of a sudden you have a display ad for a product that's a good fit, and then you can action it, and with Amazon, you can have it sometimes the same day.
Marketing is definitely, if done right, I think it's really, really interesting. You mentioned something about doing your MBA when you first joined Amazon, or your early days in Amazon. Would you be able to, share your experience? Was it really hard to kind of, balance your work and then your MBA life, which obviously takes a lot of time out of your, everything. So would love to learn how, doing your MBA and then, working at Amazon works.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my MBA while I was still at the law firm. I was about halfway through the program when the opportunity to move to Amazon came about.
Gotcha.
And it was a little bit of an inflection point because it was, do I continue my MBA and try and start this new role at Amazon? Or do I stop the MBA just to focus on Amazon? I am a bit of a glutton for punishment. So I was like, I'm going to do all the things. But it was absolutely a challenge. I wear a fitness tracker, and it tracks how much sleep I get as well. And while I was doing the MBA and at Amazon, I was averaging around 4 hours of sleep a night. So that's one of the ways that like I had to make some trade-offs.
Sure.
But I think that there were a lot of benefits to it too, because Amazon is such a master class in business and change and how organizations can evolve that I was able to translate the work that I was doing into my classwork. So there was some benefit, but it certainly was not easy.
It's definitely not easy. Trust me, I've done my full-time MBA and then I'm working at Amazon now. It's just like doing one is not easy, and doing both is definitely not easy. So I would love to learn a little bit about what you do as a senior marketing manager. So a lot of the questions I actually get from audience is, why does Amazon need a marketing? What marketing do Amazon do? Or some of the questions, because they probably know all about, Amazon retail, like Alexa and maybe AWS, but I don't think a lot of the audience knows about like what we do in marketing at Amazon. So we'd love to learn about what you do.
Yeah, I think that question dovetails into the comment I had earlier about marketing solving problems for customers. And Amazon is such a customer-centric company that having marketing that's dedicated to both on-site and off-site. When I say on-site, that's going to be the marketing or the merchandising that happens when you're on Amazon.com. And off-site is going to be those signals around the web or on TV or on the radio or wherever you're consuming information that are redirecting people to Amazon. But I think that Amazon really does well with marketing when we take that perspective of solving problems for customers, because we're the everything store. Like you can find everything, and sometimes that can be a little overwhelming. And so those advertisements can help focus where you're looking. It can also surface new opportunities like new products or new services that are offered. So it really helps guide customers through the store experience.
Yeah, I mean, the book Jeff Bezos wrote is about the everything store. So yeah, that's definitely right. So you were in marketing in your law firm, and then you transitioned to Amazon, and you said you kind of was the account executive or sales, what was it? And then you kind of developed that, and it kind of went into the operation side.
Yeah, so it wasn't sales focused at all. It was very much operational.
Okay.
But I was managing some big accounts.
Okay.
So it was in Prime Video.
Gotcha.
And it was managing like some of the big studios that people might have heard of before,
Gotcha.
like maybe Disney, maybe NBC. And that work was really about making sure that Amazon was getting the files and the assets they needed to make content live. But there's this account management piece of making sure that there's reporting and forecasting and all that fun stuff.
So it was a very different role from what you were used to do. So I guess I have two questions here. Is one, usually when companies hire someone, they look at your background or they look at your previous job experience, and that's why they hire. So I guess my first question is, was that not the case there? And then second would be, I would assume that you would have had learning curves when you first started. Like, how did you overcome those?
Yeah, so the first part about the interviewing and kind of matching roles to experience, that's one thing that I love about Amazon is they actually are interviewing people for good fit for Amazon and not always just job specific. Because like in all the interviews that I've sat in and kind of been the hiring manager on, we're really trying to find people that we can see being very successful at Amazon. So the interview is really an evaluation for capacity to move quickly, be agile, learn, invent, like all the leadership principles. So then it's less about a job match and more about a company-wide match.
Gotcha.
So I think that helped me in that instance for sure. And then to your point about learning curve, very candidly, it was a brutal learning curve. I was so excited to be doing it, and I worked with some amazing people that really helped me get over that hump. But it was definitely very, very difficult. It was a completely different way of thinking about my work and how I'm approaching problems.
Yeah.
So
Similar story.
I believe it.
So as a senior marketing manager, what's your favorite part of your job, and maybe what's your least favorite part of your job?
Yeah, I think in the senior marketing manager role within consumer electronics, we've really been tasked with thinking big. and kind of understanding what customer needs are, and then building out tools and programs that help support doing those functions at scale. So I love that, and then I also love the people I work with. Some of the things that I don't land in my top favorite bucket, I think that there's always just this level of administrative work and tactical work that doesn't always feel super high value and can eat up a lot of time.
Sure.
But I also see that as an opportunity to simplify.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you can identify things that are knowable and repeatable, you can probably automate it. So I was trying to look around those corners and be like, okay, how can I do more with less because I am lazy?
And no, you are completely right about that. And I mean, you're the expert in making it more efficient. So
It's completely driven by my laziness.
Tell me about your maybe work-life balance. Like Amazon is probably known for having, I wouldn't say zero, but very minimum work-life balance. And people talk about working long hours. Can you maybe share a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, and I think that I subscribe to Amazon's position with work-life balance as work-life harmony, because balance implies like there's this equal investment in two separate things, instead of like a work-life harmony being like there's this whole and these things work together, but they are not separate. And so my career is really important to me, and I'm definitely very invested in it. But I also know it's really important to carve out time for personal interests and rest. So I really try and take this ebb and flow mentality. Like there's going to be these hard pushes where you're hustling, you're getting things done, but then when things ease up, being mindful to take time and also pursuing interests outside of work. But setting those as a priority, like I will block out time on my calendar for very specific activities to make sure that I am getting a mix of stuff.
You bring up a really good point here, because I think it's been more important, or I at least I feel it's more of a work-life harmony now, especially we're working from home during COVID, because before it was you work from the office, you go there and then you come back and then you have your own space. I mean, obviously you can bring your laptop, but usually we don't. I at least didn't do much of that, but now it's just more about you work and live in the same place. I think it's really important to have that work-life harmony, as you said.
Yeah, and I, like another thing that I've been ruminating on quite a bit is it's really easy with the work from home to feel like you're actually living at work. So really being mindful about boundaries, clear communication with your managers. I think that has helped me not lose my mind during the COVID pandemic.
Yeah. So I actually have some questions that our audience have put together for marketing positions. So the first one is, what brand do you think is genius, e.g. in building their brands or because of specific strategy or campaign?
Yeah, the first brand that comes to mind is Patagonia. Companies that are really value-driven resonate with me, and I think that they're really building out interesting business models that are not just focused on the bottom line. And then the kind of the positions they're taking in their marketing, it feels like they have a really authentic voice.
Awesome. Not Amazon? I'm just kidding. I think this one, so what is one role or job from early in your career that helped you build an unexpected skill that you use today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm mentally going through my resume. I have to go back to customer service jobs. So when I was in high school, I was a sandwich artist. I worked at Subway.
Oh, wow.
And I think that when you have that level of interaction with customers and kind of dealing with hungry people is like a master class in conflict resolution. It teaches you a lot about work ethic, like how to work on a team, how to make sure you're delivering for customers. So I think kind of those early customer service jobs were very instrumental in shaping how I approach problems for customers.
Yeah, and you know what? I think you bring up a really good point, because like a lot of the people who are in their early career or who's still in college, they're like what should I be, like what kind of story should I be telling when I'm interviewing? And like this really brings up a good point because what it really matters is the transferable skills and like what you learn in a position or an experience that you can really use it in the job that you're applying for. So I think what you just mentioned just is a perfect answer there.
Yeah, and to kind of build on that, I think when people are talking about their experiences or they're looking at what their work history has been, really being able to tease out those transferable skills and know what value they're bringing. When I was at the law firm, I was hiring for a variety of positions, and it was for a marketing role. But I was very, very focused on people with a journalist background because a lot of times in journalism, strong research skills, excellent writing skills, and that translates really well into marketing.
Yeah.
So I think that if you understand the core skill set of the job you're going after, you can find where there's overlap with what you've already done. And it's just a matter of understanding the value transition there.
Great point. I think this will be my last question today. So, advice for those who want to join Amazon or start their career in marketing.
Yeah, so I think advice for starting a career at Amazon, definitely learn about the leadership principles because that is so woven into the fabric of the company. If you can really understand how those apply to building and scaling a business, that's going to really give you some insight into how Amazon operates. Networking always is a great option. Like I said, when I was sharing how I got into Amazon, it was through an existing connection. So networking is really important, especially if you're already in school. Like it's amazing how open leaders are to helping students out.
Oh, yeah.
So I would strongly recommend or encourage people to do some cold emailing, LinkedIn messaging, because you'd be surprised at how willing people are to share their time with students.
Yeah.
What was the other part of the question?
Advice for those who want to starting marketing.
Yeah, I think that really understand why you're interested in marketing. And then also make sure that you're leaning into those data skills because marketing is such a creative endeavor, but you really have to back it up with strong data and analytics to really make the case and make sure that you're serving customers and you're doing something that's helping the business grow.
Awesome. No, those are really, really good points. Thank you again, Jessica, for your time today and this awesome studio. I think all the audience will be super, super appreciative. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And to my point about networking, if anybody leaves comments on your YouTube channel or reaches out to you, feel free to make an introduction. And I'm happy to do email chat or a phone call.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.